language for the day. Okay, so let's do that, because from Monday to Friday we're seeing that the composite index started increasing, and today Sunny is here to tell us more about what is happening on the market, which has been very exciting from the beginning of Monday to now.
Yes, Edward, we recorded quite some good runs since the start of the week, but unfortunately the week is ending on a low note for investors as far as their investment on the equities market is concerned. In terms of the volume of shares that were traded today on the market, there were 1.2 million shares that were traded, which translated into a value of in excess of 1.4 million Ghana cedis. The composite index you've seen has gone down by somewhere 11.38 point, and that's quite
significant.
Significant. And I'll be telling you the equities that made the moves today that resulted in the loss that we are seeing on the market today. So if you have invested on the market today, your return has gone down to 47.75% compared to what we saw yesterday, which was in excess of 48%. The financial stocks also, it recorded no change. It's still at 15.12%. And Edward, for a while this has remained so. In terms of the market capitalization, it has lost around 120 million Ghana cedis, and Edward, that's quite significant.
That's a lot of money.
For a while now, we've seen the market cap going up because the stocks were really doing
appreciating.
well. So there were exchanges across 13 counters,
wow.
But 3 significant moves on the market today caused the market indices to go down. Let me start by the the equity that recorded a loss that has resulted in the market indices going down. Of course, that's MTN, which has been driving the market for some time now. It traded some 926,000 shares, but lost a peswa, and just that has resulted in the market indices going down. Fan Milk also, which has been enjoying some exciting run for a while now, also lost 6 pesos as at the end of the session today, and Bob recorded 31 pesos, but because Bob, if you compare the weight with MTN and Fan Milk is not there, so the appreciation in that equity has not been able to save the market today from the indices recording some decline. So, Edward, if you ask me what transpired on the market today, that's all I can tell you.
All right. Thank you very much. We go for the base language, and then we get set for the NPRE Senior Manager in charge of Compliance and Standards, the person of Hifwada Mankwa, to join us to have a discussion about the pension scheme in the country, because pension is very exciting and interesting topic. Whether you like it or not, one day you go on pension.
Certainly.
Yes.
We all have interest in this conversation.
We have interest. I'm going to find out from them what more, what can I do in terms of even investing my disposable income I have on the stock market so that I'm going to pension.
And you know, there's a perception that you can only invest when you are in the formal sector.
That's another issue.
Yes,
so we're going to find out more from them.
Affected the penetration and that stuff.
Exactly. And they are doing very well in that regard to push a lot of people outside the formal net to make sure they invest so much of their income, disposable income in the pension schemes available. 1, 2, 3, and they can make some money when they go on retirement. I hope we do same. All right, let's go for the base language for the day. Come back with me to the discussion is Hayford Amankwa. Hayford, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Edward.
Great to have you in the studio.
Good to have me as well.
Somebody said that when the moment you start working, you must start thinking about your pension. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's correct. But before I answer, let me take this opportunity to say good evening to your cherished viewers, and also today happens to be the last day for the customer week.
Okay.
So let me again use this opportunity to also say happy customer service week to our active pensioners and then active contributors as well.
Great.
Yeah. So yes, pension, as we all know, I mean, it's part of life. I mean, as you work, one day you definitely retire. So for me, I think it's something that everybody needs to have. As soon as you start working, you need to start thinking about pension. Fantastic. So very, very important.
So we have custodians, fund managers, we have other institutions out there managing pension funds.
Yeah.
Can you share with us the difference among all these various products or services out there?
So one of the things that actually came with the new reforms is that the pensions shouldn't be managed as it used to be prior to the coming into force of Act 766. I mean, prior to the implementation of the law, we had SNIT being basically the sole administrator of pensions. Now, the new law has set up a tripartite system such that we have a trustee who is supposed to do the day-to-day administration of the pension scheme. Now, to help them do their work, they appoint what we call the fund managers to give them advice as to where they should put their money. And then the assets that are actually, in terms of where the monies are kept, where the monies are invested, they're supposed to be kept in custody by a custodian. So each of them are supposed to play an independent role, in the sense that the trustees are supposed to now have the money, and then based on the advice of a fund manager, then they invest the money. And then the assets, once they are invested, are supposed to be kept in custody by the custodian. So that is basically the different roles that each of them play as far as the pension is concerned.
Right. Now we've had Ghana Stock Exchange and your end, the NPRA, trying to make sure that we get more, fund managers and other managers of pension scheme to push or invest on the Ghana Stock Exchange to make money available for long-term investment. How is that project going?
So if you look at in terms of the guidelines for investing pension funds, we have set out what we call guidelines of investment of pension scheme funds. Now, what happened is that we set certain broad asset allocation categories. So in there, you have an allocation of about 20% to investment on the stock exchange. Now, you notice that investment has to do with attractiveness. Okay. Pension funds would always want to protect the capital that they begin to invest. So if the stock is very attractive, they will put monies in there. Even though we're giving a broad allocation about 20%, but in terms of what the pension funds do on a daily basis are quite low. Okay, in the sense that most of them are attracted to the financial stocks. If you look at the non-financial stocks, they don't look that attractive to most of them. But so you find that most of the pension fund investment on the Ghana Stock Exchange are basically mostly in the financial stocks. Yeah.
And what can be done by your end and perhaps other players in the market to make sure that these kind of attitude towards investing in only financial stocks, which is more attractive to them, changes?
So you see, as a regulator, what we don't do is to micromanage this process. So these are things that are left between the trustees and the fund managers. Now, we currently gazetting a new guideline, and in there we put certain flaws in terms of what you can actually do within the broad asset allocation. So we expect pension funds to at least be very active on the stock market. Again, just to deepen the kind of consolidation that we expect the capital market to have. And as I said, as a regulator, in as much as you want to set a broad policy, you don't also want to get down into the micromanaging of the scene, so that in the event that certain things happen, the blame will not be pushed on the regulator. So yes, we understand the need to have liquidity for the capital market. So we have given currently you can do about 20% of your pension funds in the capital market, in the stock exchange.
Okay.
But then, as I said earlier, the stock must be attractive. Exactly. And again, to sort of protect capital or protect the funds for the pension contributors.
All right. Now, there was an attempt, and it's still ongoing, to make sure we get more from the informal sector.
Yeah.
getting on board the pension wagon or train.
Yeah.
How is that getting attractive or getting attention from the informal sector players?
You know, the informal sector has always been, I mean, it's been quite problematic for almost everyone who wants to go there. If you look at GRA, if you look at the banking sector, but we've done quite well. I mean, if you look at where we started off basically with zero. Now, as at today, we currently enrolled almost about 550,000 people on the informal sector.
Significant.
And this is represent about up to about 6% of the current enrollment within the 3-tier system. So we're doing well, and we started, I think that's at the end of last year, about 2 years ago, we're doing about 232. And that's at the end of first quarter 2021. We've done about 550,000 people. So we're doing well, and there's a lot of work ongoing now. And I'm sure by the end of the year, we may have a good figure to even give the public.
So do you have a target in mind when you started getting into this space?
The target has always been to enroll as many as we can.
Okay.
But like I said, you still need to understand the peculiar nature of the informal sector. Again, we had a bit of some challenge, especially during the cleanup within the microfinance sector, and that is where most of the informal sector economy was exposed to. So this also sort of gave us some kind of hitches whilst we're trying to enroll. But I think now that the sector is cleaned up, we are beginning to see some activity around the informal sector enrollment now. And I'm sure by the end of the year we'll be able to tell a very good story. We've
heard of the cocoa farmers getting, there's a policy by government to make sure they get...
Exactly.
How what's the process now, and what is being done to step up interest or shape up interest of farmers in that regard?
Yeah, so the good news, the scheme has been registered. We had the opportunity to get the president to launch the scheme sometime, I think last year, prior to the election. And now it's been piloted. There's a lot of program ongoing now. And hopefully, I think the active enrollment will start any moment from now. So it's been launched now, and there's a lot of work ongoing now.
Now, let's look at the pension funds in particular.
Yeah.
Now, do you have knowledge about the kind of money that is sitting out there and what is being done to make sure that, you know, a lot of people out in the business are looking for long-term investment. I mean, but what is being done as a country and from your end to make sure that people get access to these kind of funds too?
So at the end of 2020, we had actually accumulated close to about 33 billion Ghana cedis. So if you look at the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and as of today, we're doing close to about 36 billion.
Wow.
So we're doing well. I mean, year on year, we are able to accumulate close to about 2 billion. So it tells you how the pension industry is growing. And for us, like I said, we've set certain investment guidelines that should help with investment of pension funds. So it is for people who are seeking funding to be able to look at our guidelines and structure their products to be able to get access. Because pension fund investment shouldn't come in just like any other ordinary investment. It must be properly structured. So we have certain investment vehicles that we expect pension funds to put in. Unfortunately, if you're running a microfinance business, you may not be able to access pension fund. But if you go a step further to put a bond on a market that is listed, then pension funds will be attracted to now give you money. So yes, we expect funds to go into all the sectors of the economy, but we expect them to go through proper investment vehicles. Otherwise, I mean, if somebody goes on pension and he's told that his money is held within a Ponzi scheme, I don't think it will be a story to tell. So we expect our pension investment to be done within proper investment structure that have been licensed by the Security and Exchange Commission. Otherwise, we will not allow it.
What he's saying is very exciting, but there seems to be a lot of ignorance, excuse my language, out there about pension. And there's a need for deepening this kind of a sensitization to get a lot of people interested in pension issues. But that's not the issue now.
No, it's not a Ghanaian thing. I mean, globally, pension is not something that people take seriously until when they are told by the HR that they've got just some few days to retire. And that is when they begin to check whether they have any money even in their account or even on their statement. So it's for this reason why we always avail ourselves for programs like this to educate the people. If you've been monitoring the airwaves, you notice that now my colleagues are very active with education sensitization. And aside that, if anybody wants us to come in and even educate them, we are always available. We've got a corporate affairs division that is responsible to educate people. So anybody that is seeking knowledge on pension can always call on us. And aside that, if you listen to the programs, I mean, all the radio stations, the TV, we are always on it, trying to educate people on that. I mean, for people, like I said, if the thing doesn't hit you, you probably will not want to even have anything to do. So until maybe you are told by your HR that, you know, you got just 3 days to go on retirement, then you see people now running around to see what exactly they are likely to get on pension. So yes, it's true, but it's a global issue. It's not just Ghanaian thing. And that is why we're upping our game in terms of trying to get people to understand pension, so that when they go on retirement, they will know what to do.
So if we look at the pension space in Ghana now, yes. You meet an average pensioner, excuse me, now he's angry with the system.
Yeah.
What can be done to ensure that with this level of education, that even if you're not waiting for your employer alone to put something aside,
yeah.
even though tier 2 is there, but on the individual, at the individual level, what can be done to get people to save towards the end of when they go on pension? Because it's not an exciting story, because
yeah.
at the moment we are told that about 338 Ghana citizens they have a minimum
pension. Yeah.
Pension.
Yeah. So you see, the pension has to do with a formula. Now the formula has certain inputs. Okay, so if you want a better pension, what you do is that you influence the inputs. So for instance, in our case, we say the best salaries you earn, the best 3 salaries, average salaries that you earn should go into the pension calculator. Now, so if your salary is low, then obviously you end up having a very low pension. Okay, and unfortunately that is a position, or that is a law we are implementing. So if I'm seeking to have an improved pension, then I need to also look at what I can do. So for instance, the highest that SNIT will give you in terms of what we call pension right is 60%. So if you retire, let's say, or if your salary, pension salary is determined to be monthly as 1,000, and you get the highest pension right, you get 600 Ghana cedis.
When you go on pension?
When you go on pension.
Okay.
So if you know this is a situation that you are likely to fall in, then obviously you need to do something. And I always tell people, especially when we go for education, that you don't need to just stick yourself to one job. If there's an opportunity for you to do extra job, any extra job you do, the employer is supposed to pay your pension. So you could end up at pension with a better salary than even what you are doing, what you are getting even whilst working. All depends on you. And like I said, if you understand the formula, you know, as we speak now, you are talking about the lowest being 300 and something Ghana cedis. The highest is also getting about 129,000
yes.
Ghana, and this is the same scheme that we all belong to. So the question is, how come your situation is different from his?
Maybe the person was earning about 40,000, 50,000 a month.
Yeah, that's possible. So it tells you that anybody is accommodated, whether you are in the lower bracket or you are in the higher bracket. So if you want a better pension, and aside the monthly SNIT pension that we all know of, there's also a tier 3 that most people don't want to talk about. And the tier 3 actually,
it's not because MPRA or those agencies are not been educating people.
We do, but people, you go to an establishment, after educating them, they still don't want to do it, because people feel like, I want to spend the money now than put in for the future. So you've got, and this was measures that were put in place to address adequacy. You've got to do, you can do up to 16% of your income in a tier 3 account. And just imagine now you are setting aside 16%.
So give a typical example. I earn 2,000 cedis a month.
Yeah.
And if you want me to help, to save towards the tier 3, and your view, what would be the best, maybe how much should I put aside for education purpose? So
for 2,000, your employer will deduct only 5.5%, assuming that's your basic salary.
Okay.
Now you've got up to 94.5% still to spend. So it tells you that you can still do another 10%. Okay, in a tier 3 account, because your employer would have added about 13% in addition to what is deducted at 5.5. So if at the end of the day you are going to take home, assuming you are just looking at the basic salary, you are going to take home before tax about 94% of that 2,000. You can still do about 10%. That's almost about 190 Ghana cedis in a tier 3 account. And you know, pension is an accumulation over time. If we were to do this 190 Ghana cedis every month for the next 20 years, you can do the math. It's going to give you a lot of money. Okay, so adequacy, yes, people are speaking about, and I can understand. For those who retired on the previous PNDC law 247, they never had an opportunity for the tier 3. So sometimes you have to excuse them. But for those of us who are aware now, there's an opportunity to make more money during pension. Yeah.
I've had a lot of complaints from people about tier 2 who is making sure that employers do the right thing.
Yeah.
NPRA, have you had some of these complaints? What are you doing to ensure the right thing is done?
We get these complaints on a daily basis, and there are a lot of actions that we take depending on the nature of the complaint. So let me give you a typical example where an employer is not paying. Once that information comes to our attention, immediately what we do, we set a team to investigate. As soon as the investigation is established, we write to the employer to give them an opportunity to pay, and not just to pay, but pay with a penalty. Okay. Now, if the employer fails to pay, then we have to resort to the courts. And you can find situations where employers can go to jail for not paying pension contributions. So it is very important that people let us know that the employers are not paying. How would you know? If you walk to SNIT and you pick your statement and you see gaps on it, by gaps I mean you find that there are payments that have not been done. Immediately you need to notify MPRA. Okay, if it is SNIT, you can notify SNIT. SNIT will take action. But if it's a tier 2 account, you immediately notify your trustee that they are not paying, and the trustee is under obligation to report that defaulting employer to us. And as soon as that is reported to us, we go through an investigation process. We establish the liability. We give the employer the opportunity to pay. If they don't pay, we move straight to court.
So how long will it take for someone who is not willing to or reluctant to pay? Does it take, do you have a duration, deadline? I mean, within 2 months, if we sit in arbitration, we look at this matter, you'll not be able to do it. Would you give them a deadline, or you just have to go to court?
Normally, we will give you up to about a month to pay. And even though we are giving you a month, you still will have to pay a penalty. And if you don't do that, then the next thing is that we'll take you to court. And depending on how we're able to get a case through the court, and mostly you can't predict or you can't preempt how the outcome of the court case will be. Sometimes it may take longer than maybe. But with pension liability, from the cases that we prosecuted in recent times, it's been very, very, very short. It's been very short. I mean, we see the employers who ordinarily not pay. As soon as we take them to court, then they bring a payment plan. Okay, so we've had cases like
past credits. The controversial one.
Yeah.
What is the state now?
Okay, so just to give a little background, so past credit actually came into be. You know, when the law changed, it had to move people from the old scheme to the new scheme. So those who had made payment to SNIT was to allow the money to be kept with SNIT, and then as and when they retire, then SNIT to pay as a past credit. Now, the past credit had some few issues, especially had to do with the formula, in terms of how much the person should be paid when he or she retired. It became a bit controversial, but the good news is that it has been resolved now. Okay. The last meeting we had, Labour and SNIT came into an agreement. Now, SNIT has been tasked to determine the total past credit that is due every member that is affected. And then afterwards, those who retire will eventually... Some people have been paid, though, based on the previous formula that was not agreed to. So what SNIT is going to do...
So they're going to be given the difference?
Yes, exactly. Okay. In fact, there's been 2 payments. Initially, there was a payment that was done up to 2010. Okay, and then SNIT also made a subsequent payment after 2010. But because the formula had not been agreed, there was still some outstanding. Now that it's been agreed, some people will still get some additional payment maybe as soon as that process is completed.
All right.
Yeah.
Hayford, thank you very much for your time in the studio. But I believe that before you leave, Customer Week is ended.
Yeah.
What kind of mindset do you want people within the pension space to have?
Yeah.
Greatest day.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think for us, our key customers will be the pensioners and then the active contributors. The thing about pension now is that we didn't have a regulator. Okay. Now we have a regulator. So we regulate SNIT on all the private companies. If there's any problem with any of your pension, you first need to give the trustees an opportunity to look into it. First, you would have dealt with SNIT and it terminates there. Now, the good thing, if you give them an opportunity to investigate the matter and they are not able to do, now you have the regulator to now give that opportunity to. So the thing is that now there's protection for pensioners and then contributors. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to them to always come forward with petition, especially for those who are defaulting. Because eventually, if you default, if an employer default, it will end up meeting you at pension. You will not have anything to take away for pension. So it's very important that people take pension serious, and if there's any matter, we have the authority to deal with it as a resident.
So thank you. Thank you very much. This is how we close today's discussion on pension. But God willing, we'll meet next week. My name is Edward Nyako. Shalom.